So I'm very excited about
Hello, testing. Oh, works in there. Okay, hello. Oh, surround sound. We have surround sound now. I don't know if you noticed. One speaker on either side. It's an upgrade. Hello, everyone. We'd like to begin. We're trying our very best to be very punctual today and very expedient. So apologies to fellow commissioners if I cut your speaking time short. We have to end a little bit earlier than normal. We are assisted by a new AV firm. Tim, thank you for being here. He arrived like more than 2 hours ago now to make sure all this works well. All the equipment is different. ANC is hoping to no longer support meetings directly themselves. They've engaged this AV firm. The technology is way cooler. I hope it works well. The camera's supposed to swivel around on its own and find the speaker. I don't know, it's creeping me out. But that being the case, we want to let them go a little bit earlier than we usually do in this building. So we're gonna move quickly. Please keep your remarks brief. We are starting with our guest speaker. We have OP in the house to talk about DC 2050, which is the rewrite of the district's comprehensive plan. I will put up your presentation. Forgive us if the tech is not, uh-oh. Sharing is not turned on. Can you turn on sharing in some way? Multiple presenters can share. Okay. Yes. The tech is new. Please forgive us.
You guys want to present? Both of you presenting? Where should we? Come right here. I'm gonna move, and then you guys can present right here. But I am taking my pizza.
I will not eat pizza.
And then you also be able to see the slides.
Oh, they. Oh, okay.
Does that work?
Sure.
Okay, great. Well, thanks everyone for inviting us today to everybody here. Okay, cool. Thanks for inviting us here today. My name is Nick Kushner. I am a senior citywide planner at the Office of Planning, and I am the DC 2050 Comprehensive Plan Project Manager, and I'm joined by my colleague.
Hi, my name is Alex Krepitz. I'm a community planner with our neighborhood planning division, and I'm also serving as part of the DC 2050 comp plan as the Ward 1 liaison.
Great. So we're here to talk about DC 2050, which is the district's next comprehensive plan. You can go to the next slide. So what is a comprehensive plan and what does a comprehensive plan do? The comprehensive plan is the plan that drives growth and development for the entire city. It dictates the policies and the priorities for the city and how we grow in the form of buildings, the density of development, how we use land, so what can be built where in the city. It also informs zoning and budgeting decisions for the city. So the mayor's office, when she's proposing a budget, all of the recommendations from different agencies have to go through a verification process with the comprehensive plan to make sure they're in support of the policies that are put forth in this plan. Go to the next one. And so just to talk a little bit more about the tie-in between the comprehensive plan and zoning. So the comprehensive plan creates a very important document called the future land use map. The future land use map kind of dictates the density, the use of the different types of buildings that can be built in different places. So whether it's a high-rise apartment or a commercial office or a mixed-use development, it guides what kind of buildings can be built where. That map, the zoning districts within the city have to be consistent with that FLUM, or what we call the FLUM, the future land use map. So that is a map that gets updated every time we update the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is a legislatively mandated document through the DC Charter. So typically the DC Office of Planning produces a new comp plan every 20 years. That is approved by the DC Council. And then once the new future land use map takes effect, that can trigger zoning changes through either initiated by a property owner, if they're asking for a zoning increase on a property which has been, which additional allowable density has been allowed through the future land use map changes, or oftentimes what happens is the Office of Planning packages a number of either text or map amendments to make the zoning code consistent with the future land use map. So the comprehensive plan is really the first step in how we update and potentially change zoning. Every zoning change goes through a public hearing process, which the ANC is probably very familiar with. The commissioners are invited to that. The public can testify. There's public hearing. The Office of Planning also produces recommendations that are sent to the zoning commission. And then if approved, development can be initiated by the property owner. You can go to the next one. So DC 2050 is what we're calling the new comprehensive plan. Why are we doing this right now? Well, we are projected to grow based on the future projections of the most recent cooperative management forecasts through the Washington Council of Governments by 145,000 new residents by 2050 and 175,000 new jobs. So this is looking at long-term trends, not necessarily maybe in a lot of people's minds, recent kind of shocks to the system that are definitely impacting DC in significant ways. And we're following all of what's happening at the federal level very closely. But this is trying to look through long-term trends. How do we anticipate growth over the next 2 decades so we can plan our city to accommodate that? As we grow as a city, we'll need more facilities and infrastructure to accommodate that growth. We'll need more housing, different types of housing, more civic facilities, parks, recreation centers, libraries. So this plan integrates all of those considerations and develops policies around that. And DC 2050 will be the first rewrite of the comprehensive plan since 2006. So as I mentioned, usually every 20 years, the comprehensive plan is written or rewritten. There is an amendment cycle to every comprehensive plan. So some of you may have participated in 2020, 2021, when we last did an update to what was the 2006 plan. That plan started based on policies that were initially crafted in 2006. So as I think we can all attest, the city has changed a lot since 2006, and it's time to kind of have a new plan that builds off those policies, but has a different structure and foundation. So our approach to DC 2050 has kind of 4 tiers that we're really being focused around as we do engagement. One is to make it community-centered, driven by residents across the district from all different demographics, ages, races, ethnicities. We want to make sure that especially voices that have not been central to past planning efforts are uplifted, and that we're doing targeted outreach to engage with those communities. We also are going to make this plan very data-driven. So we'll be engaging around potential future growth scenarios that are driven by outcomes and outputs that we can present actual quantifiable numbers for where we might, what certain growth scenarios might mean for like the number of new housing units created, the number of new family size units, different metrics like that. And then we want the new plan to be much more user friendly. So our current comprehensive plan is about 1,200 pages. There's hundreds of different policies and actions within there. It's a very difficult document to navigate, and I don't think a lot of residents of the district are that familiar with navigating it. We want this plan to be much easier to read through, to follow, to understand what it means, and to use it to shape the communities that we all live in. And we want the themes and the policies of the plan to be outcome oriented. So that means having the policies that we create speak to what the lived experience will be like in DC when we finish the plan. So general timeline of where we are, we just kicked off the plan last month. We had a series of 3 intro meetings across the city. We had our kickoff at the MLK Library on March 22nd. We've gathered a lot of feedback just on kind of general themes across different typical land use topics within the plan. We'll be presenting some of the initial findings of that in some workshops coming up at the end of this month and in early June. So we have one workshop scheduled on May 31st and another on June 4th. That's also going to dive much deeper into conversations around housing opportunities, where we want to see different types of housing in the city, where we want to see different types of amenities, what a complete neighborhood looks like to us, what we want within a 5-minute walk, a 10-minute walk, and so on. And we are going to be, at the end of each one of our phases, releasing an engagement summary report to kind of report back on what we've heard and where we're headed in the next phase. In the fall, we're going to start engaging around scenario planning, or kind of how we grow as a city. So that's looking at where would we potentially put additional housing, add additional density, add additional commercial space. And so that's going to be something that we engage heavily around in the September, October, November timeframe. We're also going to be starting to engage more deeply around the policies that will go into the draft plan. Through April to June, we'll have further conversations around those policies as they get developed. We'll have some policy briefings that people can join and kind of ask questions as we're drafting the plan. And our timeline is for in September of 2026, we would release the draft plan for public comment. That public comment period would include the revised future land use map that I mentioned before. There'd be at least 3 months of public comment on that. And then we would take that forward and listen to all the comments, take into account all of what we heard in the public comment period, revise and iterate on that draft plan, and then produce a final plan that gets submitted to the DC Council in July of 2027. As I mentioned, this is a legislative document, and so it goes through DC Council approval. After that, it goes through NCPC for, they have, I believe, 60 days to act on the plan once DC Council approves. And then it does have to sit with the US Congress, but they'd have to act to kind of stop it from passing through within 30 days. So our hope is that from July 27 through about February or early 2028, all of the meetings and processes that have to happen take place, and we have a new plan that we can begin implementing as soon as February 2028. And then from that date that it gets finally approved and becomes legislation, we would begin implementing the policies within that plan, and the new future land use plan would be in effect. So that's our timeline going forward. And I think just a couple more slides, and then we're happy to take questions. So ways to get involved in DC 2050 now. If you have just a little bit of time, you can take the vision survey. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes. There's 4 or 5 brief questions. This is just a very broad initial survey to get a pulse on where we want to go as a city, what kind of overarching themes do we want to pursue in the plan. We're going to come out with a much more detailed survey in that fall window, which we really will want you to help push amongst your neighbors and your friends and your community, and get a lot of people to take that survey. You can also sign up for our newsletter. We send out monthly newsletters with updates on the plan and where we've been, what we're doing. You can also share the website and information with your neighbors and friends and families. Our website is dc2050.com. That has a lot more information on it. It has some resources about the plan. It has the survey linked on there. It has some photos from various engagements we've done. And then we have been throughout April and into this month and through June and July, we'll be tabling at a number of different events. So Alex is going to be leading a table at the Best World Supermarket, which is just a little bit up in Ward 1 off of Mount Pleasant Street Northwest. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Sure. Yeah, so as mentioned, we will be tabling at the Best World grocery store. Is that right? We'll be tabling at the Best World grocery store. Oh, it's not on. That was it. Thank you. We will be tabling at the Best World grocery store in Mount Pleasant, starting around 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 5:30 or 6. We're also going to have someone on site who is fluent in Spanish. We're very interested in working on organizing our resources and translation services. Nick mentioned the survey and the website. Many of the materials online are also available in multiple languages. So that is just the first event that we have scheduled after this meeting. The best way to stay aware of what meetings are happening in your ward and in your neighborhood is to sign up for the newsletter. And we really encourage you that if you'd like to be up to date on that, please check out the newsletter, and please share with your neighbors, and hopefully we'll see some of you out next Wednesday at Best World.
Yeah, we'll also be, if anyone is heading over to Ward 7 or 8, we'll be at the Nanny Helen Burroughs Day on May 10th, which is next Saturday, and on the 17th at Anacostia River Festival, which is a great event down in Anacostia Park for the afternoon. And we'll have some interactive activities to engage in there to get feedback on boards and various things like that. As I mentioned, we have our next kind of OP organized workshops on May 31st and June 4th. So there's a link to register there. We are finalizing locations this week, so flyers should go out on those workshops. The May 31st one will be somewhere in Ward 7. We're hopeful it's at Ron Brown High School. And June 4th will likely be either at Stuart Hobson Elementary in Ward 6 or at Kennedy, which is not far from here, Kennedy Recreation Center. And I think there's one more slide just for people. If you want to scan the QR code, there's our website. You can also email with any questions. We have a project email that goes to myself and a number of other engagement leads on the comprehensive plan team so that we can respond very quickly to any questions or feedback that you might have. But with that, thanks very much and happy to answer questions if we have time.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Are there questions, Commissioner questions? Oh, light it up. All right, Commissioner Barrio, go ahead.
All right, I heard a presentation from you all recently and I asked about the, I heard a presentation from you all recently and I asked about the RA1 text amendment. Are you all working on that at all? I've heard it's a separate team, but it seems pretty important for our vision for 2050.
Yeah, so it is. So one of the things about all the processes that I talked about is that some of them take a while to implement. So that RA1 text amendment is going forward from the last comprehensive plan update. So that is our development review team that's leading that process. What we are engaged in is updating, or what we will be engaged in through this process is updating the future land use map.
Yeah.
A new future land use map. And so that will potentially either reflect this RA1 change or could call for additional changes that then zoning would follow after the FLUM.
Yeah, I mean, I am curious in terms of additional changes, why the current effort from the Office of Planning is just for RA1 and not for all of residential zoning right now, because RA1 is already pretty dense from my understanding. So it seems like it would be useful to allow by right duplexes, triplexes, some slight density, especially in areas west of Rock Creek that have very little density right now. And you have all the development happening in our areas, which is good, but also puts more pressure in some ways. And I think it could be distributed more equitably across the city.
Right, and that's where kind of legislatively, the hands are tied to do a zoning amendment that is inconsistent with the existing FLUM. So the existing FLUM does not allow that kind of zoning change.
Okay.
And so to have that kind of zoning change in the future, we would need to update, which we are now, the current FLUM. So that's a comment that's very much apropos to the engagement that we're doing now.
Okay, so RA1 can be done through the existing old comprehensive plan,
Yes.
but residential zoning would have to go through the new FLUM.
Right, current, because the plan is still current until the new one's adopted.
I see,
Yeah.
yes, correct, yes, okay.
You could file an amendment to the existing FLUM now. You don't have to wait.
Hmm.
So if you want to add density,
I-
you may say, let's depart if we need. I'll help you file that amendment to the FLUM.
Best practice is to use the microphone.
It is,
We can talk, we can talk.
That is a good point. There's another process to go through. Can often be a longer, more convoluted process, but yes.
Please remember to use the microphone so that the Zoom attendees can hear you if you're making comments are welcome.
Yeah, no. Thank
ANC
you. That's a
emeritus.
fair point. Yeah.
There's an ANC emeritus in the crowd. He's going to cause trouble. Commissioner Fay.
So a comment and then a question. So the comment is, this is super important work. So thank you for leading it. I don't know how much people appreciate the impact and the importance of the future land use map. But one of the things that I have found is that when something goes before the zoning board, they will often just look at the future land use map and say, gosh, does this enable a change in the zoning? It does, no question about it, and there's no discussion. And so what that means is that there's very little opportunity to have a robust discussion about changes in zoning once the future land use map has been set. So the creation of the future land use map is really important. So then the question is, as I look at your offers or your invitations for engagement, if you got a couple minutes, do this. If you got an hour, do that. Those activities don't strike me as being particularly deep engagement. And so the question to you is, we would very much like, as a commission and neighborhoods across the U Street, to be able to engage in deeper, more robust discussions, the questions that you're asking are great questions. What do you want your neighborhood to look like? What do you want to be in a 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute walk from you? Those are really critical. And so the question is, if we, or as we create these forums for more robust discussion, how do we engage you to make sure that that feedback is incorporated? What suggestions can you provide to us so that those discussions are productive and that the outputs are useful to you? And ultimately, it can be reflected in the future land use map.
Yeah, no, thanks for the question. I think that's a really good point. So we are right now, we have the 2 workshops that are on the books for May and June. We will be planning a series of additional workshops in the fall where we really get into like FLUM specific conversations, right? So that's where we're actually talking about how do we want to see land use change? Where do we want to see growth? Where do we want to see different types of development? I think as an ANC body, as a community, any community is welcome to meet, organize your own forums, your own discussions, submit comments to us. I'm happy to have a conversation around what that could look like. I know in the last comprehensive plan, there were specific ANC approved letters of submission when the comprehensive plan was out for public comment that were submitted across various ANC bodies. We're planning to have that same process available again and kind of highlight and call for that and ensure that ANCs know that that is a way to submit comments. I think at any time, if you're having a forum and you're submitting kind of the write-up from the discussion that comes from that, and you're engaging around what you want the future of this neighborhood to look like and what any kind of changes you'd want to see could be, please submit that to the DC 2050 email. That is also a place to just capture feedback. We're capturing everything that comes in there. We're documenting, we're tracking it in a tracker, whether it's a question, a comment, an invitation to speak in an event. So we're taking all that into consideration and we'll report on that in our engagement findings that we submit for the summary reports I mentioned.
Great, thank you, appreciate that. And we'll certainly take advantage of that offer. Great.
Further questions, commissioners, audience? There's one online. I'll read. Double question. First one is, how will we be notified to help reshape the process? I don't know if there's like a newsletter sign up type of feature on the website.
Yeah, did you want to?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I would suggest the newsletter sign up on our website. If you go to the dc2050.com, there's information there. That is usually the first place information about meetings, ranging from the meeting that we're having next week at Best World, which is a broader sort of meet the community, try and do broader education on DC 2050, as well as future meetings like the ones Nick described this fall that'll get more in depth. I think the newsletter is your best option for learning that information as quickly as possible as we release it.
And is that location specific? I mean, if you guys are doing an event or you're partnering with an ANC in a certain area, I don't know that person would be notified.
I don't think it depends on each event. So like the tabling we're doing next week is not with a specific organization. The tabling we're doing at Nanny Helen Burroughs Day, we've coordinated with the organizers of that event. So it'll depend a little bit on the venue of it. I would also suggest if you are hosting community events that you think it would be helpful for the Office of Planning to be present at, that's another good opportunity to use the email and suggest us to join these meetings. I believe the Nanny Helen Burroughs Day came from a similar suggestion from the community.
Yeah, we also have our comms team at the Office of Planning has been using social media regularly to post updates and opportunities to engage. So if you follow on Instagram or X, hopefully we'll get Blue Sky at some point. And they're posting regular kind of updates on what we've done for engagement, where we'll be, how to get involved. And then we've been having, we actually had an invite go out to all ANCs prior to kicking off the March process. And had a specific kind of briefing for ANCs on what this first phase would look like. We'll do that again before every phase. And so we'll provide information that ANCs can then distribute out to the community on how to get involved and when and where.
That was a great session. I was happy to attend that. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
His second question, are zoning changes going to allow increased density near metro stations and major bus transit corridors? And this is probably getting too far ahead. And what are the displacement protections that will be put in place? Those are very specific. So, I mean, answer them, please, if you can. If you're not able to yet, tell us a bit like how do those types of specifics come into the conversation? How much of that is predetermined?
Yeah, no, those are really good questions. Those are definitely questions we want to have conversation around. The last update that was referenced before for the 2021 FLUM did upzone a lot of traditional TOD spaces around metro and bus priority zones, so there's not a ton of capacity left there. So we're going to be looking for other places where we can accommodate growth. But where we do have capacity, that's definitely on the table to continue to upzone in those places. Anti-displacement, the Office of Planning has been working with some other agency partners on an anti-displacement strategy that is in the research phase right now. We plan to release some findings on that and engage around that in the fall. Prior to kind of starting this, where are we going to build housing? Because we can't really have a conversation around providing new housing without talking about how are we going to prevent displacing residents that are there today. And so we will, there's a lot more to come on that, but look forward to that in September because it's still in the research.
Thank you. Anything further? Commissioner, I'll go to Commissioner Holden first.
Yeah, just real quickly. I was testing the survey just now on my computer and my phone, and there's some inconsistent behavior. It didn't load at first on my phone, and then it did, and then here it's not loading, but if you click the link, it does. So just maybe have someone check it out.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, we hadn't heard that. Okay.
Go ahead.
Very quickly.
Very quickly, I was just curious, and thank you so much for coming to answer our questions about this, because I know we're all very excited about the plan. What determines the timeline in terms of all those steps you were talking about and the years? Is that statutory? Is that the Office of Planning's timeline that they've generated internally?
Yeah, so the DC Council, through the amendment of the last plan, which was statutory because that plan was adopted in law, had a series of timelines on when we would submit a update on that plan's progress, when we would start the new plan, and when we would deliver the new plan back to council. So it is in the cycle through the legislation of the last plan to come up with the new one by 2027.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further before we release our guests? All right, thank you. 7 o'clock on the dot. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for your visit.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
With that, I call the May meeting of the commission to order. Okay. Do we have a faulty mic or just not enough?
Enough down here.
Okay, this one also works, so.
So I can do my share impression.
Maybe like after 9 o'clock. Thank you very much to the Office of Planning for the visit. Stay tuned. I'm sure we'll remain integrally plugged in. I call the meeting to order. Secretary Fay, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Barrio. Commissioner Sycamore is not here. Commissioner Lemon Strauss. Here. Commissioner Kenzick is not here. Commissioner Chair Trindade Duramo. Commissioner Holden. Here. Commissioner Vice Chair Harris.
Here.
Commissioner Hanrahan. And Commissioner Fay is here.
Okay, with 7 of 9 commissioners present, we have a quorum. Do you want to take notes real quick? Lest we forget. As mentioned before, we're going to be trimming comment times and presentation times tonight to make sure that we leave by 9. Please do your best, everyone. Next item on the agenda, we have reinstated the consent agenda feature. If you were not privy to the email traffic, a quick introduction. We used to have this feature, we canned it, now we're bringing it back at Commissioner Holden's brilliant suggestion. The consent agenda, which is, you'll be familiar with because the council also uses it and lots of other ANCs use it. It's one chunk of business that we will vote on with a single vote. It's meant to be things that are non-controversial. If something is controversial on the consent agenda, any commissioner can just request that it be moved off the consent agenda into the main body of the agenda. Otherwise, like I said, it passes all in one vote. So on the consent agenda today, we have the meeting agenda itself, which must be approved at the top of every meeting. We have the approval of the meeting minutes from April, which are in your packet, and also a new feature, pay attention please, is non-protest items from the ABCR committee. It was felt that previously we would only consider protests coming from the ABCR committee and we vote on them, that's still the case. But items, placards that the ABCR committee declines to protest never came to the commission's attention. So we're now going to be listing them. You'll find them in your packet on page 18. All of the placards that, all the applications that the committee decided not to protest. They're there for your general awareness. Please take a look through. The commission, of course, has the ultimate authority to vote to protest something, even if the committee has decided to recommend that it not be protested. This is mostly an FYI. I think it's a very smart addition to the agenda. Make sure everyone's clear on what the committee decided not to do, not only what the committee decided to do proactively. So once again, page 18 has all the non-protest items. Digesting all of that, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The consent agenda is approved. Thank you very much. Committee reports. The chair of the Committee on Community Engagement is not present. The committee did not meet in April, so I think we can skate on by. Committee on Economic Development, Mr. Fay.
All right, thank you. Couple of quick updates. We will be reviewing a place management entity for U Street resolution under new business. We'll discuss that more later. We will be launching a U Street Business Roundtable in May. The date that we're holding is Thursday, the 22nd at 1 p.m. We are reaching out to U Street businesses in the general area to invite them to a forum, which will be discussion around kind of opportunities, challenges that they're facing operationally, connecting them with MPD and DPW, and then also talking about future place management opportunities and options. So if you are a business who is attending tonight online, please email us at 1b@anc.dc.gov. And we'll make sure we get you registered and send out the additional information. We are still finalizing a location. DEMPED, for those of you who are keeping track of some of the city disposition properties, will be joining us at our May Economic Development meeting. And we'll be talking about the next steps on 1617 U Street, Rita Bright, and next steps on the Reeves Center as well. And then lastly, just want to share that Sandlot, U Street Sandlot at the intersection of Florida Avenue and 7th Street, had a welcome event on Tuesday evening that was very nice. And that is kicking off their opening this weekend and going into Howard University's graduation next week. So we're excited about them being a new addition to the neighborhood and wish them the very best. And hopefully we'll be seeing each other out at Sandlot in the coming weeks and months.
Thank you very much. Cannot underscore the importance of the U Street Business Roundtable. Very proud that we're doing that in May. Obviously, the NMA and the bid conversations on U Street are incredibly important. We had a nightlife walk with many district agencies to point out issues with public safety, with sidewalks, with lighting, with trash. And so we want to go into depth with that with the business owners on U Street. If you are good friends with the business owner on U Street and you can help facilitate inviting them to the roundtable, please approach us later. We'd love to have the connection. With our intrepid outreach consultant, Raisa Singh, we have begun knocking on doors on U Street. Obviously, some of the business owners we know very well. Some of them we've never met before. So we're going door to door, emailing, calling, texting, lots of every possible approach to make sure that at least everyone has the invitation and the opportunity to join. So please help us out there. Did you have anything?
Yeah, I just had a question about the, I guess, meeting on the 22nd. It might be wise to hold 2 meetings. I know that's a lot to put on your plate, but the 22nd is the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend. So there might be some more absences than we want. So we might want to hold it 2 days just to give that option to folks.
Yep, good point. And I think what we'll do, it's going to be a 1 o'clock in the afternoon meeting, recognizing the schedule that most of the business owners in U Street keep. But I think that's definitely a good point. And let's see how the registration goes. And we'll open the option of a second meeting.
The other option too, typically a lot of businesses, at least in my SMD and what I've encountered, is that they are sometimes closed on Tuesdays. Tuesdays are a little bit of a slower day, so you could consider holding it on a Tuesday afternoon versus a Thursday.
Great. That's a good insight. Thank you.
The Committee on Public Safety, Commissioner Barrio.
Hello, everybody, and apologies. I have a bit of a cold, so my voice is going to sound quite nasally. Yeah, so briefly, I wanted to start off with just some crime updates for everybody. In the past month, we've experienced 106 crimes, including 14 violent crimes. Thankfully, there were no homicides in the past month. That is an increase of 16 crimes compared to last month, which somewhat makes sense given that the weather is warming and we see more crime when there's warmer weather. Year to date, there have been 340 total crimes, including 38 violent crimes and 1 homicide. This is all in ANC 1B, by the way, I should have specified. Year to date, that means we're down 93 total crimes, 11 violent crimes, and 1 homicide compared to last year. So that is good news that we are down overall year to date. Some notable incidents that occurred recently, there was 2 stabbings on the 1200 block of U Street, and then a shooting later that night. That was on April 20th, as well as there was a fire on Vermont Avenue. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but tragically, several homes were very badly damaged, are uninhabitable now. Homes surrounding the area were filled with soot and smoke, and so that's going to require extensive repairs. So that happened just a few days ago, and we're definitely monitoring. And as an ANC, I think we want to support the folks that have been displaced potentially, just like there was a fire around New Year's Eve, and we helped spread the word and try to raise money for those folks. So just wanted to mention that, and send out my deepest sympathies to the people that lost their homes in that fire. There's also a funding shortfall, as many folks know, because the House of Representatives is holding the district's money, our taxpayer money, hostage right now. I believe the sort of threshold, not the threshold, but the shortfall went into effect this past weekend. I spoke recently with Commander Pulliam about the issue. He said that immediately you won't see cutbacks with MPD. They are heavily reliant on overtime, though, because there's a shortage of officers, and overtime is expensive and requires waivers from the mayor now. So that's another layer of bureaucracy. And if this keeps going on, we are going to see a reduced MPD presence. There's a lot of areas in ANC 1B, like 7th and T, LaDroit Park, other areas that have been hotspots that MPD has been patrolling more frequently, and they're going to have to cut back on all of that if the funding bill isn't passed soon. So that is very concerning, and we're going to definitely have to keep an eye on that. And then finally, we'll be discussing it later tonight, but the Public Safety Committee passed a resolution calling for a congressional hearing for the confirmation of interim U.S. Attorney Ed Martin. So we'll talk about that more later. I believe his term expires on May 20th, since he's interim, if he's not confirmed. So this is a resolution just saying that there should be a full congressional hearing where senators can ask questions. We're also urging the Senate to allow for our representatives and our shadow senator and shadow representative to be able to participate in that process and ask questions. Those are all my updates.
Thank you very much. The Committee on Transportation, Parks and Public Space did not meet, but tell us everything.
We did not meet last month, but we will be meeting. Normally, we meet the Wednesday after the commission meeting, but because of the way the weeks fall, it'll be in 2 weeks. So I believe that's the 14th. We'll be having our monthly transportation parks meeting. So stay tuned for the agenda.
Thank you. The Committee on Zoning, Preservation and Development. Oh, sorry. You're way over there. The Vice Chair Christian Brandt of the Committee on Zoning, Preservation and Development has been filling in as acting chair, interim chair in the past month. Please take it away.
So we didn't have any cases to review, but we did have 3 presentations. One was from Alex Cross from the Department of Buildings, who sort of gave us an overview of what the DOE offers, their services, and then some questions, including questions about the new street building collapse, although we did not have a whole lot of information to share about that. The materials from that, I'm still collecting, so that really didn't see that. The second presentation we got was from the administrator Kathy Lee, who talked to us specifically about the arts overlay district and how that was calculated, or how that sort of is enforced. It was particularly in reference, I don't remember the address off the top of my head, but it's the building next to what used to be yes, 9/11. And there's more information about that in the minutes. It's visual technical thing now, but that was very informative and just opened up the opportunity for future collaboration with the zoning administrator on better understanding of enforcement. And then the last presentation was an update from the Howard University Real Estate Initiatives and Capital Asset Management team about the Howard University Hospital. It was, if anyone came to the, I think it was the December ZPD meeting, that was the same presentation. And so it was just, they asked to come back to the third committee members. I was going to talk about the Sandlot, but my cover got stolen. That's okay. But that was very exciting. So the Sandlot, they as well. And that presentation, I think, is already on the website, as is the that they referenced with so that I think is really all the stuff.
Thank you. Questions? And thank you, Christian. Again, I haven't sung your praises nearly enough for stepping in as the interim chair of the committee. Commissioner Kenzik stepped down as the ZPD chair last month. Luckily, he had a very competent and well-briefed vice chair who could step in. And you'll notice later in the agenda, we will be voting to appoint him as chair of the zoning committee on a permanent basis. Finally, the Committee on Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Regulations, Commissioner Hanrahan.
Hello. So for those of you who don't know, we unfortunately did not have a quorum for the monthly ABCUR meeting. So if you're listening here or in the room and are interested in joining our committee, now's never too late to sign up. Always recruiting. We did have a good discussion on about just in general, you know, thinking about ways in which settlement agreements and the committee can, you know, not just try to protest business, but try to help them and try to do outreach to the community through the settlement process and just kind of establishing good neighborly connections with licensees and establishments. We also discussed reaching out to Director Fred Musley from the ABCA from ABCA to see if he would be a guest speaker, perhaps not at the ABCUR meeting, but perhaps even at the commission meeting. We might shoot for a summer date, but that would be helpful, especially as we're getting to know more about the settlement agreements and things that could be done in terms of noise complaints or like kind of just knowing more of the inner workings of ABCA, I think would be beneficial for everyone. We had several renewals come in, but no new applicants or new substantial changes for licenses. As the renewals are on page 18 in the agenda. And then there were two licenses that were previously kind of just generally flagged for some awareness. One was the business Alero for some noise complaints. I did FOIA ABCA for some noise complaints, and they didn't provide, there wasn't too much further detail that was provided there. But I defer to our commissioners and single member districts if we would like to initiate a protest for them. But it did not seem that the informal discussion that we had at the committee meeting yielded that result. The other one was also the Howard Theater. There is a settlement agreement on record with the Howard Theater. There's numerous board orders and certain requirements for their security plan for how they, when shows exit. It seems like that is existing on paper, and perhaps if we want a better result with Howard, we should work on perhaps just general enforcement and coordinating with those other district agencies. But yeah, that's the update for at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I apologize, Commissioner Hanrahan. I think you mentioned some things that weren't exactly accurate. So first, I want to say I know that the word protest is very loaded, but I want to make clear that whenever the ANC does protest, or a group of 5, neighborhood association, whoever it is protesting, it doesn't mean that we want the business to shut down. It is just the legal term used. So I think I take big issue with maybe what was discussed at the ABCR meeting, because that is, even though we are protesting, that does not mean we're going against the business. Secondly, there have been noise complaints for Alero. I live in the building above Alero, and I know several neighbors. Now, just because there weren't any formal complaints made, which I'm sure a lot of neighbors here may not know the formal complaint process, that does not mean it is not an issue. It has been an issue for several years, so I don't want that to go against why the ANC might protest. The other thing that I want to clear up, the ANC does not enforce any of these licenses. That is up to the ABCA agency, not the ABCA board. So that's another thing. We cannot use that language, because that is not up to us to enforce a settlement agreement or any safety measure. That is up to MPD on safety. And then the settlement agreement is a legally binding agreement, but that is not up to us to enforce. That is up to us to agree with the establishment to set different terms and things that we negotiate. So I just wanted to clear that up, because we have to be very the ABCA process.
The specific question of Alero, though, do we want to, I mean, they're both, Alero and Howard, as Commissioner Hanrahan was explaining, Alero and Howard Theater are on the agenda in case the commission wanted to protest on any grounds, because the committee didn't have quorum to review it. So if we want to go into them substantively, they are under no business.
Yeah, I was just noting though, because Commissioner Hanrahan stated that he FOIA'd and didn't find any complaints, that doesn't mean that there aren't complaints
Sure.
listed. I can pull out complaints in my inbox. I can also contact neighbors in my building with those complaints.
Yeah, I do apologize for downplaying that statement. Yes, I do know we've been raised that there are complaints, noise complaints that came from Alero. Unfortunately, I think I was just kind of mentioning that I tried to, when searching for more details, I was not able to return anything substantial. But I defer to either commissioner for their SMD for initiating a protest for these licenses if they would want to, or not. I don't have anything else to report from the committee at this time.
Okay, Commissioner Hanrahan, you did email around to see if there were community complaints about the two applicants, right? Alero and Howard Theater.
Yeah, I believe we did a furrow. We have investigative reports that were kind of pulled prior as well on both of them. There was some, I think Alero had an underage violation once. There was a more extensive documentation with Howard again on.
I mean, among the commissioners, I think there were emails that went to Commissioner Harris, Commissioner Barrio, to see if there had been a record of.
Yes,
complaints.
Yeah, I defer. Yeah, Commissioner Harris or Commissioner Barrio, if either of you would like to initiate a protest for either of these items, I would defer to you on this.
Yeah,
but
I mean, we'll come to it in new business. I just wanted to ask, did you receive any community complaints?
No, outside of that, no, I haven't received any other community complaints. There was something about Howard Theater once with people leaving the
Yeah, the late night
the
security.
late night, yeah, and wanting to make sure there's a security plan, and there is something on record already that is a board order that's like stating that there have to have a MPD unit present. So, you know, it's not the ANC's job to do enforcement, but we could try and leverage that to ABCA to do the enforcement of that. So I do think that written piece is already there. It's just a
Sure.
matter of trying to
Okay,
use it more.
let's circle back around to new business then. I want to get to the announcements if we can. Anything further? Okay, Office of the Council Member, Nicole standing in for David. Yes, please.
Hi, Commissioners, public, I'm Nicole Rivera, I'm the Public Chief of Staff. I was asked to give a brief budget update. I don't have much of one because we haven't received the mayor's budget yet. The council did pass a resolution this week to require the mayor to submit the budget by May 15th. If we stick to that schedule, that means the budget would not be finalized until late July. I think from the council member, you can expect a lot of the same broad priorities, affordable housing, homelessness, early childhood. But we don't have anything to react to yet. So I can't say too much in detail about what we might like to keep to, put money back into if we don't know what might be cut. This will be a difficult budget. So we're kind of ready for that and ready for what we might have to fight for. But I won't go into more detail until we see the next proposal. So as soon as we have the proposal, we will have a new schedule of hearings. I strongly encourage ANC commissioners, members of the public to come out and testify about what's important to you, to your communities, to your constituents. We'll be pushing out that information about how to sign up and what the schedule is. So really want people to come out, but I'll stop there because I know we're on a tight schedule tonight and see what questions folks have for me about the budget or anything else going on at the council.
Open to questions? The only one I have for you is, and I've been speaking with some neighboring commissioners about Capital Bike Share, which, as we all know, has been posting month over month, record busting usage numbers. And I know there's been the focus in terms of their growth in the past year or so has been expanding to all areas of the district. I know there's a goal that everyone in the district, or 90% of people in the district, should have a bike share station within a 10-minute walk or whatever, which I think is wonderful for everyone, not only for people who live in farther out neighborhoods, but I go to farther out neighborhoods on a bike, and you need the dock to be there too. For us in the more central neighborhoods, of course, we're interested in infill and expanding capacity. We're often at like 0 docks in many directions. So I'm hoping that this, given the strong performance numbers, that program, the district's support of its operating budget, is not at risk. Have you heard anything?
I haven't heard anything. I can check with the team to see if anyone else has more info on that and get back to you. But I'll also flag up for the council member and our team that that's a priority.
Okay, we're very proud in 1B to have one of the top 3 busiest capital bike share stations. So please, any expansion that you guys can advocate for, in fact, in their operating budget, would be most welcome by many, many, many of our constituents.
Great.
Anyone else? Okay, we've kept it brief. Thank you
If I
very
could
much.
just really quickly mention,
Sure.
our next office hours are in 1B. They'll be at Right Proper on May 21st from 6 to 8. That's the opportunity for anyone to come out and talk with the council member about anything you like, one-on-one. So would encourage folks, if you have issues or budget priorities you want to talk to her about, please come out on the 21st. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Right Proper?
Right.
Thank you very much. We have Stephanie from the Office of the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services, standing in for Anthony. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Take it away.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Stephanie Advincula from the Mayor's Office, the Ward 1 Liaison Moker. The update that I have briefly in regards to the pre-keep, that is the one item I know on the upcoming year's budget for the FY26 that will be fully funded. It was the one announcement that I know the mayor did announce. And then the second one in regarding the JRFK, the stadium for the Commanders. And I do have a QR code that if you do support or you don't support, I do have a QR code where you can just state your feelings and you just answer the questions, and it's just, you your opinion. That's all.
Okay. Questions for the Mayor's office, Commissioner Herron?
Hi, I wanted to organize a potential spring cleanup day. I know it's like almost like summer out now. Is it still possible to reach out to Anthony or the council member and try to see if there are grabbers or bags available for a SMD cleanup?
Yes, so the cleanup is you can do it through our office, Clean City, and I can connect you with Julius, who there's actually a new form that they just informed us that will be given to us so you can fill out, so we can link up so I can pass that information to you.
Okay.
And you're also always welcome to just have a spring cleanup. It doesn't have to be just for the spring.
Sponsored.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool. Good to know.
Commissioner Fay?
I just can't pass up an opportunity every time you guys come to thank you and Anthony for all that you're doing for us in 1B in particular. I know that you do lots and lots of things for all of Ward 1, but you have put a lot of time and energy into us, and I just want to thank you for everything that you've done. And I will even call out that I will get an email or a photo text from Anthony every now and then, picking up some crazy piece of trash off of an intersection. And so they are working 24/7. And so we appreciate you guys.
Yes. Oh, that's actually another quick update. Thank you for that. Illegal dumping, we are definitely on it. And every time we are sweeping, we're in the ward. You might see us, you might not, but we are escalating. As soon as we see something, we're on it. So yes, if you see something, we see it, or if not, we're on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? All right. At this time, we are pleased to welcome Christopher Dyer from the Department of Public. Oh. Yeah, sure. We can run it. I sure do.
Cool.
You can also use the walk around.
Oh, that'd be fun.
You may do that. You're welcome to do that.
And you have a park, and you have a park. Anyway, hi. Oh God, I didn't change the date. Never mind. Forget that. Hi. I thought I did. Anyway, hi, Christopher Dyer. Next slide, please. Community engagement manager for the. Next slide, please. Yeah,
Someone
thank you.
else's-
We're good.
someone else's
Back
ANC.
Back one. Yeah, sorry. I still have not figured out how to save a file to my OneDrive. Anyone else here have that problem? No? Okay, great. Anyway, Christopher Dyer, Community Engagement Manager, DC Department of Parks and Recreation and Tech Savant, but not really. Great to see you guys, commissioners. I'm glad I'm here. For those of you who do not know, we are still the #1 park rank system in the country. We host year-round programs and events year-round in 244 sites across 900 acres of green space in all 8 wards. And we have annually have about 100 plus different capital projects going on in our system at any given time. So we're always a bit busy, but it's exciting to be here. Next slide, please. We have a few websites that we always share, and then the one that we want you to remember tonight, DPR events.events is a list of all of our upcoming events at DPR. DPRprograms.com is the central location for all things program, including signing up for a RecTrack account. I'll get a little bit more into that. That's the website you want to remember. And dpr.dc.gov/locations is a facility, find a rec center wherever you want. And then dpr.dc.gov/permits is our one-stop location to get an online permit. And I'll dive into that one in a second too. Next slide, please. DPR programs. Next slide. So we do, for those of you who don't know, DPR does programming, seasonal programming on all 4 quarters. Our next registration sign up for summer will be on May 13th for aquatics programs starting at noon sharp. And anyone who's ever tried to do an aquatics registration will know we do mean noon sharp. They go very, very quickly. And then on May 14th for all of their programs. You might be able to see at dprprograms.com the next few days the updated schedule for our summer programs. We tend to start loading that stuff now. We do offer reduced rate free for all qualifying families. You can still apply. It's a year-round process now. 50 to 75% discount depending on income. Application approval is good for the entire calendar. And you'll be pre-registered and pre-approved for next year for summer camp, so you don't have to go through that process. And also we recommend you visit dprprograms.com for more info. Now, we strongly encourage everyone, now that you have time before doing our registration, to go online and make sure your RecTrack account is square. And if you're doing a new RecTrack account, you have to give us 2 or 3 or 4 days to verify residency. So we always recommend doing that now so that when you go online at noon on the 13th to get into the aquatics program, you at least can get into the waiting room. So next slide. Permits. If you're going to do a permit for 10 or more people, you do need a permit. Go to dprpermits.gov, dc.gov. I'm sorry, dpr.dc.gov/permits or dial 202-673-7647 for complete info on how to get a permit. Please note, we receive probably about 35 to 40,000 permit applications a year. So please do not do what someone did today, which is email me and say, hey, can we get a park site permit for 60 people at Rose Park on the 9th? Because the answer is going to be no. So 30 to 45 days in advance. If you have questions, our permit team is ready to answer them. It's goofy with some of the terminology, but basically if you're looking to do a park site, like, it's called park site. If you want a multi-purpose room in a building, it's called multi-purpose room. If you're trying to get an athletic field, chances are they've already been permitted out, but go online and take a look at that so you can understand our seasonal permitting process. Next slide. DGS, our friends in DGS, for those of you who do not know, the Department of General Services is responsible for all maintenance of our properties. They are now on 311, thank God. It makes life very, very easy. Although commissioners, feel free to continue sending me pictures. Sable's laughing at me because she knows. Sending me pictures of the things that you need to do, and I can put in a ticket with DGS, but we prefer you go through the 311 system. Also, quick thing for those of you, another thing for in case you're asking about what trash can to fill out, which is a favorite one, brown trash cans are DPW and blue are DGS. Don't ask, don't know why, but brown or DPW, blue or DGS, because I know you're just going to remember that when you see an overflowing trash can. Anyway, next slide. Here's my contact information. Commissioners, thank you very much. For those of you at home, 202-702-9453. Email address is christopher.dyer@dc.gov. Commissioners, you can text me until about 8 or 8:30. I really, really strongly encourage email. I still have not figured out how to forward a text message via email to someone. And chances are I would like to track it so that I make sure that on Fridays when I'm clearing out my inbox for the weekend, I've at least acknowledged receipt. I'm also, commissioners, a slightly bit of a masochist myself. I am also an ANC commissioner, so I understand the work we're doing and I appreciate the pay we get. With that, thank you very much. And also thank you folks for showing up for this meeting. This ANC, and I'm very biased, but being in an ANC in a public meeting like this is really the best way to show civic engagement, even though I occasionally grumble when I get 25 emails complaining about stuff. But please send them to me, poke me with a stick, and thank you all for the work you're doing. And I'll answer questions.
Thank you very much. First question is mine. What's the blue litter bins? What are you referring to? That are DGS property? That's the recycling ones?
The recycling ones are
Okay.
DGS, yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I know. Don't ask. I wondered, I asked, I think it's because you can't, there's cross-contamination. And DPW pulls the trash and then they do a separate recycling process through DGS. It's a separate contractor.
Right. Is there a request to install a new blue recycling bin in
You can
311?
ask. I don't know. There might be.
Okay, because I have sent one in under just the litter bin category, which goes to DPW.
And did they install
And
it?
they said blue bins are only up to bids to install. They didn't even know that DGS installed and serviced them.
I don't know.
So
But if you want a new blue bin in a park, you can try to ask us. That we don't have any currently on inventory, but it's always good to have that in a list. I'm just being candid for a second. Actually, I think we have 3 left back in inventory somewhere, but always submit a request. And if they don't get an answer from 311 that you like, email me and I can try to get an answer that you probably won't like either, but at least someone will. No, I'm kidding. Listen, our folks at 311 deal with thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of requests. And we all appreciate that we try to get these things done the best you can. Also, when you submit a ticket to me or send me something, please send a photo. Please send a photo, and remember to take the live function off on your iPhone so that it turns out to be a JPEG file as opposed to an HEIC file, because I can't load an HEIC file So that's more news for everyone that you ever wanted to know. But photos,
Okay.
pictures are worth 1,000 words.
If you have an iPhone, you still need to convert it over, even if it's not alive.
Really? I've taken the live function off the top of it after I've taken it, and that seems to.
All right, we'll go to Apple after this.
And listen, the tech savvy person here finally figured out how to do it, because I'm like, huh. But we can't do anything with HEIC file except look at it prettily on our phones. It doesn't help. Anyway, the more you know, more questions. I'm sorry, guys.
One, I do have several requests for, and I know it's not on you, but I'm still going to send it to you.
Okay.
Chris, for the water fountains at Banneker. A lot of the tennis coaches have been really upset that the water fountains have not been working there.
They're not on yet. They might not have been turned
They
on.
haven't been on the last year. Not in 2024.
They
so
weren't?
even the last summer season, they haven't been on.
Okay, we'll send them and we'll see what's going on with them. But I know that all of our water and all of our HVAC across the city will be turned on by Memorial Day per DGS. Oh, that's the thing I forgot to tell you about. Swimming pools. Thank you for asking about Banneker. We open up on Memorial Day Saturday, and we're open on weekends. We do not we only keep the pools open on weekends up until June 22nd, which is when school gets out. Also, our splash pads don't come on until Memorial Day weekend as well. Now, I know every year people are clamoring for them, but I just want to emphasize that they're not supposed to come on until Memorial Day weekend. And given the state of affairs, I don't know what's going to go on. So.
Yeah. That makes sense, but I know water fountains are big.
I know. I'm surprised you haven't bothered me lately, Commissioner.
Oh, don't worry, it's coming.
I'm looking forward to it. Great.
And then I had a question. Someone brought up to me that can you create wish list on GPR for classes, so then it makes it easier to sign up for the classes that you want?
I don't think you can. I don't think we have a technology to do that. You can always send emails asking us to add classes, but I don't think we have a technology where you can have a wish list just to do.
Okay, well, maybe it's a loophole that someone.
Yeah,
it's
an interest. I mean, it's an idea, and I'm not disputing, but we yeah, that'd be interesting.
Anything, Commissioner Barrio. Really quick, you mentioned how the splash pads and the pools don't come online until Memorial Day weekend. Is the reason why they don't come on earlier primarily a funding obstacle, or why is that?
A little bit of both. Also, most of our workforce for lifeguards, half of it comes in over the summer.
Okay.
And so we don't. I mean, we have a DPR. We basically triple the size of our lifeguard pool, because we have 22 outdoor pools that we're adding in addition to the 10 or 11 indoor pools that we operate year round. Also, quite honestly, with the schools are not in session, the use of the pools is not that. I mean, the attendance is not high during the week, and so it's not a good use of resources. But the primary reason is lifeguards.
Got it. Yeah, I'm just thinking about as it gets hotter, as it gets warmer.
Oh no, believe me, that we get every
year.
Yeah. And and we smile and we hear you, but again, one of the primary, especially with the outdoor pools, we hire a ton of lifeguards throughout the year. And by the way, we also have a lifeguard training program as well. So we try to hire as many folks locally as we can and train them. In fact, there's a group of those going through that certification program right now. Also, keep an eye on your inboxes. And if you're at home wondering about Camp Riverview, if you go to dpr.events right now, the registration for Camp Riverview has started. It's an in-person process. You have to do it in person as opposed to our normal process, because there's a lot of documentation that you need. I'll be sending out a blitz to you guys next week to send your constituents about Camp Riverview. And I mean, to be honest, we get emails starting. I've gotten emails already from the general public saying, "Have you opened your outdoor pools yet?" And the answer is no, we have not. It's too cold.
I don't know. It's getting pretty hot.
No, I appreciate it, but no, the serious answer is it's funding and it's
I mean,
also,
it is really hot out, you know, I
I get it.
totally hear you and I get that. It's just that it's going to get warmer. They're projecting that there's going to be 100 days of extreme heat in DC by 2050. 100, there's currently 30.
yeah. And
So
again,
I'm not saying right now, but I'm saying I am worried because we're going to need that infrastructure eventually when it's 100 days of extreme heat. That means it's going to be the entire summer and May and April.
and then again, we'll also have to try to
Yeah.
figure out a way how to hire lifeguards to cover everything. I mean, that's
No,
also,
yeah,
quite
yeah.
honestly,
I
a
hear
lot
you,
of
I
our
hear you.
seasonal hires are people who come in and who are high school students or college students. And
Yeah.
without that workforce,
Friends will have volunteers.
okay, good.
In addition. Yeah, thank you.
Yep. All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This works, right? Yes, sounds like it does. Thank you very much for the presentation, for taking the Q&A. We've been dealing with a microphone situation up here in the background while this was going on, so we've switched over to the hand mic because apparently on Zoom, some mysterious TV show audio was playing in the background. It's all very strange. It's coming from here. We don't know why. Fun times with the tech. Commissioner announcements, if anyone has anything. Seeing none. Community announcements. Anyone is welcome to approach the mic. Say, oh, we got to take her. Come on up. Please tell us who you are, where you come from. Oh, you can use that one. Yep.
Hello, my name's Amy Gato. I'm a neighbor here. I live on 2026 13th Street. So I'm in Sable's district, I believe. So I just wanted to let everyone know that we're planning a block party for our community. It's going to be on May 17th. So it'll be on my block, 2000 block of 13th Street Northwest, in between U Street and V Street. So it starts at 2 p.m. and goes until 10 p.m. We're going to be shutting down the block, and our goal is to make it a free community event for everyone. So we've scheduled programming from live music, including 8 local DJs, drag performances. We're also showcasing local artists who are going to be doing live paintings or offering free workshops like arts and crafts workshops to the kids and anyone else who wants to participate. We're also going to have a skate competition and a queer and female focused skate meetup during the block party as well. And then beyond just creating a space for people to have fun, connect, and get to know each other, we're also really focusing on uplifting local community-based organizations. So we have a few partners already. We're looking to expand to others, but our partners so far include Free DC, Claudia Jones School, Ward 1 Mutual Aid, Baldwin House, the DC Tutoring Initiative, amongst others. So I just wanted to let everyone here know about this, and then also inquire about potential assistance from the ANC in, first off, not only just getting the word out through any newsletters that you guys have, or also offering potential funding for this activity. Obviously, it doesn't cost a lot to put on, but we would like to compensate the artists that are participating, and then also just pay for, basic costs of putting on a party. Thank you.
Thank you. This is now our favorite item on the agenda. Everyone's like whispering. It's great. So happy you're doing it. Thank you for letting us know. If you don't mind stopping later, Raisa, could you put your hand up, please? She runs our newsletter, our social media, everything that you would want to trumpet the event. We would be happy to do it. In fact, a newsletter is going out in like 5 or 6 days. So we'll slip it in there if you can pass along all the details to her. 17th, what time?
2 to 10 p.m.
Okay.
Actually, 1:30 to 10.
Fine. Okay. I will arrive with my Meridian Hill Park cleanup crew because we were doing that in the morning, and we'll come over to you and celebrate in the afternoon. In terms of community sponsorships, perhaps Commissioner Lemon-Strauss, you could speak to her afterward to just clarify. There are a lot of rules that the city imposes on what can and can't be funded, but if we can make it happen, we're happy to.
I think we'd love to. I think that I'm happy to talk to you, but also I would talk to Raisa to Miguel's point, and I think in general we should funnel these sort of requests through as sort of a package of this is what a block party could look like in 1B in terms of the support the commission can provide. So that's the announcements and the newsletter, funding where possible. As Miguel said, there's a lot of limitations, but cash is fungible, so we can find the ways that we are allowed to support, and then hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you for coming tonight. I saw the last block party. I think y'all had it maybe in October
Yeah.
of 2024, and I thought it was great. And I heard a ton of feedback from neighbors that they enjoyed it. So I'll definitely spread the word for this year's block party, or maybe the first one. But I heard really great things about it. It looked awesome, and I'll definitely be in attendance. I think if y'all need some sort of sponsorship from ANC 1B, I think we would have to vote on something tonight unless there is something in the budget that contains community events.
Yeah, yeah.
We can't we can't really talk about it tonight because if their event is on the 17th,
Yeah.
then we would have to vote on something tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, if they made an expenditure on the 17th and submitted the request post facto for reimbursement, is that allowed? If, I mean, obviously we'll consider it at another meeting and approve it. I don't know if you can,
But I also, is there, I mean, we could vote on something tonight if it's a small expense. If we did $500 to sponsor it, I would imagine y'all would rather have the money sooner rather than
Yeah.
later. And I'm happy to propose something in new business. We would have to talk to you about, you know, how you would then come back to us of like, this is what you spent it on, because we have certain procedure.
We could leave the language pretty vague. I mean, I think we'd want to, I think we could, so I guess what I would suggest is we approve something with pretty vague language. And I'll talk to OANC to sort of, cover it off. And if we could also sort of, hopefully clean it up later if we need to.
okay. Don't go anywhere if possible. Chill here and in the background here while everything else is going on. We'll see if we can pull something together. Thank you for letting us know. Generally, we do need more notice on the community events to arrange sponsorships. There are a lot of hoops to jump through. We'll see if we can do a fast track version in the background here while we move on. Any other community announcements? Let me check online real quick. Seeing no hands raised, we can move on to the administrative section of the agenda. Any executive office reports? I have nothing, sir. Nothing. Okay. Cruising along. The appointment of a chair for the Zoning Preservation and Development Committee. As I mentioned earlier, Commissioner Kenzik stepped down as you may rise. Commissioner Kenzik notified us that he would no longer be able to serve as chair of the ZPD committee a few weeks ago. He had a trustee vice chair already in place. Christian is temperamentally, personally, professionally, ethically qualified to do the role. He has stepped in with great aplomb, and I'm very grateful. And so it brings me joy to nominate him to serve on a permanent basis as chair of the committee. So moved. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Anyone wishing to speak on the motion? Any debate?
Note that we did discuss this at the committee of the whole already.
That's true. We did talk about it last week at the committee of the whole meeting.
I.e., we're not disengaged on this topic. We've just already discussed.
That's true. All right, hearing no further points of debate, all those in favor of appointing Christian Brandt of SMD 1B06 to the chairship of the ZPD committee, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you are appointed. Congratulations. Thank you very much for your service. With our gratitude, our gratitude, advance apologies, etc. Anything administratively? Wonderful. We can move into new business. The first item is a resolution from the Economic Development Committee. Commissioner Fay, all yours.
I'm going to share right here, actually. Give me 1 second. Set the 5-minute timer just to see if we can keep things going. All right, so to the commission and to the public, I don't think that the background on the Neighborhood Management Authority or the Business Improvement District is news. We've provided updates on this discussion in January, February, again in March. The council member, just by way of quick background, the council member had submitted a bill for a Neighborhood Management Authority. In January, that bill had been previewed with us in various forms at the Economic Development Committee at the last term in December, and again with this commission in January. We hosted two public hearings that coincided with our Economic Development Committee meetings, one in February, one in March. In February, David Meny from the council member's office was generous with his time and his intellect and answered dozens and dozens of questions over the course of 2 hours to help the community understand more what the NMA was. There were a lot of questions about what a BID, a business improvement district, is. And so in the second meeting in March, we heard primarily from folks who were looking to organize a business improvement district. Lots and lots of questions there. Another 2.5-hour meeting to talk about that structure. During our March meeting, Councilmember Pinto joined us and shared that she was supporting a bid in the north-south direction along 7th Street, which was overlapping with the bid or NMA framework that we were talking about that would run east-west along U Street. And so the committee decided in partnership with the chair of 1B and the chair of 1E, Brian Footer, that it was important that we declare our preference for the structure, at least geographic structure, of a place management entity. An NMA and a BID are both forms of a place management entity, and a place management entity primarily provides services to the business community in the form of keeping things safe, keeping things clean, keeping things friendly and welcoming, and making sure that there is a organized, deliberate voice of the business community to advocate for their needs and for services within the city. One of the biggest differences between the NMA and the BID is that the NMA is funded through existing tax dollars, not to put any further burden on the business community, whereas a BID is funded through additional tax levies, and that is a pretty common structure across the city. What we decided was that we were going to formulate a resolution in support of a place management entity. We were particularly and purposely vague on whether we were supporting an NMA or a BID. And the reason for that is that there are strong advantages to both, and there are implementation hurdles to both. But we wanted to make sure that we were declarative around our preference for a U Street corridor BID that would run the east-west access of U Street and help to organize and bring together the businesses that run along that corridor. And we're also using this as an opportunity in the resolution to advocate for greater partnership between not just big businesses and property holders, but also small businesses and the residents that make up all of U Street. And so with that said, I have a draft resolution that is up on the board behind me. Miguel has the single printed copy, and the commissioners received a copy of that in their email, although not with as much advance notice as I would have liked. And so I guess I can kind of put it forward and then also read through portions of it if that's helpful, but I might kind of let the commissioners maybe give me guidance as to what's the best way for me to share the details of this particular resolution that was discussed at great length with the committee 2 weeks ago.
I would say if you can quickly read the operative clauses.
Yeah.
Just so we know.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. So let me just before I make my motion to move this, there's a couple of basic things. The whereas is essentially what we're saying is that U Street is a vital economic and cultural corridor. It is important to the city. It's important to the greater DMV. It has a long and storied history. It has not found a unified voice at this point. So the business community itself does not have kind of a unified representation. And so what we're looking to do is to provide some kind of structure that would allow them to have that greater voice, to be able to coordinate more effectively, to be able to advocate on behalf of advancement in the corridor. Essentially what we are here is that ANC 1B support the formation and advancement of a place management entity, the specific structure of which will be determined through ongoing community engagement and input to organize, invest in, and advocate on behalf of the greater U Street corridor. Be it further resolved that the place management entity should be a forum through which small and large businesses that are committed to the success of the greater U Street corridor in partnership with residents can organize and work together to achieve the shared goals of the corridor. This is one of the more important pieces, that this place management entity be organized to encompass the primary east to west access of U Street Northwest, extending no further than 5th Street Northwest to the east, no further than 17th Street to the west, south to S Street and north to Berry Place across the top in Florida Avenue. So essentially, it's very similar to the geography that the council member proposed in her NMA bill. And we think that that is the right geography for a place management entity to be created. We also say that upon its formation, the place management entity prioritized the provision of services to the corridor that promote safety, cleanliness, and a welcoming environment for a diverse community of residents, business owners, and visitors to U Street. That the place management entity be formed collaboratively with business owners and community leaders, as well as property owners, and that the board structure reflect that collaboration and inclusion. And that finally, the services and organization of a place management entity are needed on the corridor as soon as possible, so that the greater U Street corridor can benefit from its impact. And so that is the resolution that I am putting forward for the commission's approval. That's a lot of work that has to be done. If the NMA were to advance, it has to be heard by the committees it's been referred to. It has to receive the funding. A lot of work that needs to go through. A bid has a significant amount of work that it needs to go through as well, and would require the support of the council member as well as a vote from council. But at this point, it is the strong belief of the Economic Development Committee and those who have attended the meeting. There is a strong need for an investment and a structure of this sort. And so we are looking to lend our support through this resolution. With that said, I move for the passage of the resolution as presented to the commission tonight. I am seeking a second, and then of course we'll have a discussion and time for any questions that folks have.
I'll second.
Thank you. This is back to you now. Any questions?
I was curious if the council members representative have any feedback on this resolution, if it feels aligned to where the council members at, or any feedback that you have.
I don't think I have any feedback to share. This is the first time I'm looking at it. Extensively on it.
I'll answer a little bit of your question simply by saying that we have been in very, very close conversation with David Meny. So literally hours and hours of discussion with him. One of the things that the council member has stated is that as much as she is a very strong proponent of the NMA bill that she has submitted, she has also made public statements to the fact that she would support a bid if a bid were to be formed. My understanding or my take, and I want to be careful, I'm not speaking for the council member on this, is that the council member's top priority is making sure that U Street gets attention, and she recognizes that it needs some kind of resource and attention. And so at this point, I think we're very much in lockstep in saying that we agree U Street needs some attention, it needs some resources, and it needs some structure.
And my only thought is a comment just to put out into the world that I wouldn't modify the resolution, but as it talks about the governance and the board, I think there's real value to having a member of ANC1B's commission on as part of that board, and would particularly volunteer Commissioner Fay as being someone who, if he's willing, would add a lot of value here. And I think there'd be a great connection to having, sort of that representation sort of across both. So I'll just put that out into the world.
Yeah, I think that's good. Other than nominating me, I think it's a great idea. And I think one of the things that's going to happen as we go through this process, we wanted to signal as quickly as we felt was reasonable that this commission is committed to the U Street corridor and not to chopping it up into different pieces. We will have an opportunity to write additional resolutions to provide further clarity and guidance around specific board representation, services, et cetera. And so we intend to stay very much engaged in this. I know the council member's office intends to stay very much engaged in this. And so this is going to be kind of our first pass, but we will have the opportunity to pass additional resolutions that provide further guidance. Any other questions or any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, do you want to call a vote?
All those in favor of the resolution as presented in support of the formation of a place management entity for the greater U Street corridor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Carries unanimously. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Commissioner Fay, for your work. Indefatigable Commissioner Fay. Very much appreciate it. In a similar vein, I have a resolution next on the agenda, which I will figure out how to share with you. Oh, it works. Wonderful. It goes without saying that this commission has been very, very busy on the topic of the NMA bill that Councilmember Nadeau introduced, and the proposal to start a bid on U Street. I see lots of squinting. Sorry, it's also in the packet that we emailed out. And of course, I stand with Commissioner Fay, and I think that a place management entity of some sort is essential for U Street. And I'm very proud of the efforts that we've undertaken to engage the business community and other stakeholders along U Street to decide which exact structure, what shape that should take. On the other hand, the council members' NMA bill also envisages a neighborhood management authority for Columbia Heights. And there, the situation is rather different in that there is no serious proposal to start a bid in Columbia Heights. There are a lot of particular reasons for that, but the lack of any serious bid attempt gives us a lot of confidence that the NMA is a sound and workable structure for Columbia Heights. The council members' bill defines Columbia Heights as running down 14th Street until Florida Avenue, which means it touches 4 of our SMDs, including mine. And we have businesses along 14th Street who will be benefited significantly by an NMA. So I have drafted a resolution supporting progress toward a Columbia Heights NMA. And I'm happy that we have on the line the chairman of Commission 1A, Commissioner Sherman, who has made himself available to answer any questions we have about the specifics of Columbia Heights. I don't know if he's been promoted to panelist. Are you able to bump Jeremy Sherman? Thank you very much. It's a bit difficult when I'm also sharing my screen. Thank you very much. So I'll also follow and read the operative clauses of this one aloud, just since some people may not have seen the draft yet. Resolved that this commission supports the establishment of a neighborhood management authority for Columbia Heights and recognizes that this instrumentality best meets the needs and unique circumstances of the Columbia Heights community. Resolved that this commission calls upon the council's Committee on Business and Economic Development to schedule a hearing on the act without delay. That this commission urges the council's Committee on Business and Economic Development to pursue additional avenues for engaging with the affected commissions to further tailor Subtitle B of the act to the particular needs of Columbia Heights. Resolved that this commission urges the council and the executive to ensure that in designing a neighborhood management authority for Columbia Heights, the benefits and services provided by the instrumentality extend fully to businesses and residents in all areas within its boundaries. And be it resolved that this commission will remain integrally involved in the public deliberations regarding a neighborhood management authority for the Duke District and urges the council to proceed with the Columbia Heights specific version of the act if the greater U Street community ultimately does not support establishing its own authority. Commissioner Sherman, since you've been enabled, if you'd like to come off mute and share any thoughts with us.
Sure. Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
And field any questions. Hold on one second, please.
Can you hear me all right?
Can you, let's do a mic check. Say something, please.
Test, test, test. Can you hear me?
We cannot hear you.
My audio is working.
Uh-oh. Hold on. Incoming Zoom audio. Oh, keep talking.
Test. Can you hear this now?
No, he's speaking, but no audio. Uh-oh. Jeremy, keep talking if you would.
Test. This is a test.
Switches are being thrown, levers pulled.
I'm talking to make sure.
Cables are running.
Is it working now? Nothing. I'm talking. I'm talking.
All right. Why don't, oops. Oh, that's not going to be good. Yeah, why don't we just do it that way?
Test,
Tim,
test.
I'm just going to hold this microphone up to the laptop speaker.
Senator Jane can hear me.
Senator Jane can hear him. Yeah, okay. Take it away, Commissioner Sherman.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Okay, everyone? All right, good evening, everyone. This is Jeremy Sherman. I am the commissioner for 1A04. Hello to all my fellow commissioners in 1B and neighbors of the 1B area. Thanks for letting me speak briefly. I want to thank. I'm very much in support of this resolution. I know I'm not a resident of the area, but
oh, that's not helpful. Yep.
I'm afraid that there's too much echo. Do you want me to keep going?
Yes.
We've had really receptive conversations in Columbia Heights and in ANC 1A regarding the Neighborhood Management Authority legislation. Councilmember Nadeau came to an ANC 1A meeting back in March and discussed this with neighbors and with commissioners. Generally very positive feedback. We've met with several business owners across 11th Street, with arts organizations all across 14th Street and Columbia Heights. We've talked about it at several committee meetings, and there has been resounding positive feedback about this Neighborhood Management Authority. Unlike the U Street area, we don't have any other place management entity that is being considered or is viable at this time. And so that's why we're seriously considering this legislation as well. We have not voted on a resolution yet, but we'll be reviewing one at our upcoming meeting later this month that is similarly echoes what this draft resolution states in support of the Neighborhood Management Authority. So I want to say I'm not speaking, we have not passed that, so I want to be very clear that I'm not speaking on behalf of ANC 1A here fully. I'm just stating what we have gone through in our process, that we are also considering a similar resolution of support, that we've gotten positive feedback, and I'm happy to take any questions as well if folks have that.
Thank you very much. Is he coming through too? Okay, Jeremy, say something again. Sorry.
Test.
Ah, now you're live. All right, say it all over again. No.
I'll do it. Second time.
Thank you for coping with us. Any questions for Chairman Sherman? Seeing none. Thank you for your visit. Thank you for your partnership. We're navigating this all together, which is the most reassuring feeling of all. Any points of debate or questions about the draft resolution? You may.
But the only thing I want to say is that I don't, Chair Trindade Demaram and I have talked a lot about the resolution we just passed and the one that he's proposed. And I don't see any kind of conflict between the two. What Jeremy said is exactly right. And that is that on U Street, we have a couple of options that are unfolding, and we are still learning about both of those options. In Columbia Heights, there are not multiple options unfolding, and so the NMA is really the best and right solution for them. And so I don't see this as being contradictory in any way.
Wonderful, thank you. If nothing further, a question, please.
More of a comment. I think this is a good idea. I would support it, but I will make the comment that you need to remove your references to the Duke plan. That is not part of the Duke plan. Stops at Florida Avenue. Above is not, below is. So referencing the Duke plan is not correct.
The Duke plan itself is not referenced. The terminology in the NMA bill is Duke District. That they're using for the, correct. Right. No, that's correct. Right. We're keeping the two separate. Okay. Thank you. All those in favor of the draft resolution in support of the proposed Neighborhood Management Authority bill for the Columbia Heights neighborhood, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Next on the docket, resolution from the Public Safety Committee calling for a congressional hearing for the confirmation of Ed Martin as U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Commissioner Barrio.
I think we've talked about this before, but just, to make sure the community is looped in and everybody knows what this resolution is, basically, starting from the beginning, the U.S. Attorney's Office in DC is in charge of prosecuting serious crimes in the district. So think, felonies, especially for adults. The Office of the Attorney General, which we elect, is more responsible. I think it cut out. Okay. The Office of the Attorney General is more in charge of prosecuting misdemeanors and felonies that may have been committed by minors. So this is a very important role that we don't elect. The president gets to appoint our U.S. Attorney. The interim U.S. Attorney, Ed Martin, has undertaken a number of initiatives during his very brief tenure. One of them has been to bring gun cases to a higher court, bringing them out of DC court and bringing them to federal court to seek more convictions and harsher convictions. Other actions he's taken have been more controversial and I think warrant some serious concerns. Specifically, he was representing a January 6th defendant, and while serving as U.S. Attorney, he also supported a motion to dismiss the charges. So there was a serious conflict of interest because he was both representing and prosecuting the defendant. He's also purged the office of a number of attorneys or demoted senior attorneys, seemingly because of political reasons. And he's also undertaken a number of politically in charge investigations. So because of these serious concerns, this motion basically calls for the DC City Council, our representatives, our shadow senator, our shadow representative. I believe our shadow senator was hoping to join. I'm not sure if he can, to call for Congress to hold a hearing on this confirmation. There's not been a hearing on the U.S. Attorney nomination for DC in decades, but I think it's very much warranted given the concerns. And I think that district residents, our representatives, senators should be able to meaningfully participate in the process and ask the hard questions to this nominee to see if he indeed should be the U.S. Attorney for DC. So that's just a brief summary of why I'm introducing this resolution, why I think it's important. And to be clear, we are not supporting or opposing the nomination, but we are calling for a hearing because of the concerns. It really does warrant, more investigation and more thought.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Barrio. Would you mind also reading aloud, since again, we didn't have tons of time to review the resolution, the resolve clauses, or if you have it on your screen, if you can pull it up.
Yeah, I have it on my screen. Therefore, be resolved that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 1B urges the Mayor of the District of Columbia, the Council of the District of Columbia, and the District of Columbia's federal representatives, including our shadow representative and shadow senator, to issue a formal request to the United States Senate to hold a full and transparent confirmation hearing on the nomination of Ed Martin as United States Attorney for the District of Columbia if the Senate intends to confirm him before his interim term expires. Allow DC's representatives and shadow senator to meaningfully participate and ask questions of the nominee. 3, ensure the voices of district residents, community leaders, and representatives are given great weight during this process. 4, reaffirm the importance of accountability, transparency, and public trust in the office of the United States Attorney for DC. Be it further resolved that ANC 1B shall transmit this resolution to the offices of the mayor, the council chairman, each at-large council member, the council committee on the judiciary and public safety, DC's at-large congressional representative, DC's shadow representative, DC's shadow senator, and the offices of senators who serve on the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Thank you very much. Is this on? Yeah. We do have one of DC's shadow senators, Ankit Jain, joining us on the call virtually. You are promoted to a panelist. You can unmute yourself if you'd like to speak in favor of the resolution. You have 2 minutes.
Great. Can you all hear me?
Can we boost that a little bit? All right, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me on. My name is Ankit Jain. I'm one of our 2 non-voting senators in DC. I'm speaking in favor of this resolution. I think it's a great idea. I'm just going to go I'll be very quick about it. I know the resolution is not about supporting or opposing, but I do think that this nominee is dangerous and unqualified and should not be approved by the Senate. I could go on and on, but I'll just say two or three things very quickly. He's was there on January 6th on the Capitol grounds, claims he didn't go in. He's claiming to fame is representing January 6th insurrectionists. He has been spending time harassing nonprofits who he claims are not towing the conservative line and not prosecuting violent crime. And that is bad for all of us in DC because that's a misuse of resources and time. He's not right for DC for so many reasons. And I know that we're all, watching what's going on in the federal government, maybe a little bit cynical, but this is a nominee that is really seriously in trouble. I think we can beat him. There was literally just a half an hour ago, there's an article in the Washington Post that says that as of now, he does not have the votes to be confirmed. And so this is something that could make a real impact on something that we can actually win. And I will say that the Senate has a blue slip process where the senators from a home state can not return a blue slip for a U.S. attorney nominee for their district. And that has been that is usually honored. So Senator Schumer did not return a blue slip for a U.S. attorney for New York, and that was honored. If I had a blue slip, I would not return it for Ed Martin, right? And so I think at the very least, I should be able to speak in a hearing that's being held. And I think this is exactly in line with what national Democrats want to do, which is they've been calling for a hearing. They might hold a vote on whether there should be a hearing within the next week. And this is very timely. And finally, I'm in the process of looking into, does some sort of letter to the Senate make sense that DC government, the DC does not support the nominee. And I think it would be helpful to council members to understand how their constituents feel about him and just, in weighing that question. So I think that this is a very actionable item on an issue that we can win on an issue of moral and public safety importance. And so I strongly urge you to vote in favor of it. I think it's exactly what we need to be doing, and I hope that more ANCs pick this up as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We certainly look forward to collaborating with you to encourage other ANCs once we've passed this. I believe we would be the first to comment on this, so it's quite possible that Commissioner Barrio's resolution will serve as the model for many others to follow. I can only hope. Anyone wishing to comment points of debate on the resolution? See none. Any community input?
Commissioner Barrio, do you know how many other ANCs around the city have done a resolution like this, or are you the first?
I don't think any other agencies that I'm aware of have commented on the U.S. Attorney's nomination, so I believe you would be the first in that regard. I know that other ANCs have issued resolutions regarding the U.S. Attorney before. I know that one did so regarding Matthew Graves, I believe asking him to testify before Congress. So we wouldn't be the first ANC to comment about the U.S. Attorney and ask them to do something or ask for Congress to take action with respect to the office, but the first on this issue.
Well, I would suggest that at the bare minimum, that you connect with all of the Ward 1 chairs for the ANC and try to get unanimity, whatever that word is, of the board. Because having one ANC send something to the council, it's going to be dead on arrival. But if you have a whole ward in unison saying that, and be a lot more power to it than just one ANC.
For those on the call, the community members suggesting that other ANCs also take up the resolution to amplify the power of the call for a congressional hearing. I know that Senator Jane has been involved in urging other commissions to take this up. It's correct, I think, Ankit, that no one else has taken up a similar resolution yet.
Yeah, that's true. Not yet, but I am in conversation with people. So my hope is that, like you said, this serves as a model as we move forward. And I agree that having multiple ANCs would be more powerful, and we can continue that effort. But I think we have to start somewhere, and I hope that this is a strong start as we move forward with this.
Yeah, just to respond, I think you're 100% right. I think we should get more commissions involved. I've spoken with some other commissions as well, and I definitely, once we pass this, want to send this out and say we've passed it. The timeline on this is very quick, right? So we've been discussing what we want to do. We've only had several months since he was just appointed, and I believe his term expires on May 20th. So we have very little time. So this is our one bite at the apple. But I definitely agree that once we pass this, if we do pass this, then the hard work begins to actually send it out to all the offices, to the senators, and then to encourage the other ANCs that are able to pass this as soon as possible. So yeah, thank you for that comment. It definitely is more work to do.
Can I add
Commissioner
one
Harris.
more thing quickly, or am I allowed to?
Sure, sure.
So yeah, I think it's especially useful to get it before May 20th, because like you said, that's the time when his nomination expires. It's possible that legally he would leave and they could still consider his nomination, if that makes sense. So someone else would be in his place, and then at some point later they hold a vote and he gets confirmed and comes back. And so I think it's important to get it out before May 20th, because they might hold the vote before then. But it's possible that they delay the vote, and if the ANCs are not able, other ANCs are not able to do it before May 20th, they have some more time to work on it. So I think it's almost like let's do it now, but we might have some time down the line as well.
Commissioner Harris.
However, when I ran for ANC, it was for local matters, and I get that this is aligned. However, seeing the resolution and what it states, it is not talking about the local issues of ANC 1B. I believe it is, although Senator Jane, I appreciate your time here and your passion and your views on this. It is very aligned with my own personal views. This is not what ANC 1B is directed to do, and I will not be voting in favor of this resolution tonight.
Thank you. Comment from the community. Please come to the microphone if you can.
I wasn't planning on saying anything, but in response to that, I would have to disagree, unfortunately. I think every second he's spending on something that's nonsense. His minutes, seconds that he's not spending on this neighborhood. He could, their job is to prosecute crime here. So every second that they're spending on sending letters to nonprofits in Maine about whatever, they're not spending on prosecuting crime here. And I think that maybe the language doesn't reflect that specifically, but as a community member, I think that it's pretty evident that, well, I personally oppose his nomination, but I think he at least needs a hearing. And I think it's really great to stand up. Thank you for writing that. I appreciate your opinion on that. I really understand what you're saying, but I think that because of our weird quasi local federal thing, every second that he doesn't spend helping us is seconds that hurt us. And so I think that we should probably get him out of there.
I highly doubt that this resolution is going to do something on that, especially since we don't have support from the other commissions. I think Patrick Nelson brings up a great point that if there were other commissions involved and this was a ward-wide thing to pass, then sure, I could be in support of that, especially if there was a local framing. I am no stranger to the crime that happens, especially in ANC 1B. However, this is not, the resolution as it stands right now is not framed in the local way as to why I ran for ANC. And that might just be my opinion, but I ran for local issues, and that is a framing, and it almost seems, I mean this as respectfully as possible, but it seems grandstanding and not what we have tried to do as a commission.
I'd like to move that we vote on the resolution
I will second it.
as written.
Sure. Do you mind making the motion with license for the secretary to make clerical amendments?
I would like to move. I would like to move to pass the resolution as written with the license for the secretary to make clerical amendments.
I second that.
There's a second.
Can the secretary second that?
Giving himself a bit of work. You may. I'll speak first. If beg your pardon, if you don't mind. I wanted to. You may. No, we're now in debate, so we may all speak. I want to commend Commissioner Barrio on the process of writing the resolution. I think it evolved quite a bit over time, and I do think it honed in on local concerns and commission level concerns. We looked at this from many angles over the past few weeks. We were not even certain that we could speak to this type of issue in an ANC resolution, and we spoke with attorneys and made sure that it was okay. And commissions are certainly empowered to present the views of their constituents to district agencies and federal agencies under the ANC statute. So this was perfectly legitimate to do. I appreciate that the resolution calls on our congressional representatives, Congressman Holmes Norton's office, as well as our shadow delegation, to advance this position. I think that's the proper mechanism for doing this. And I do think the resolution is very careful to note that let me find the thing here. To ground the resolution in the public safety concerns of the Public Safety Committee, and that we all share. And it does note, and I'll quote from it, the Public Safety Committee has noted that terminating prosecutors misusing prosecutorial discretion or engaging in politically motivated investigations could undermine efforts to address public safety challenges in neighborhoods such as the U Street corridor and surrounding areas. So very much to the community members' point, our concern is that there's so much time, resources, oxygen being taken up by things that are not our public safety, at least that we've seen in the past few months on the interim basis with Mr. Martin in this office, that we feel like we are not getting what we deserve out of our U.S. attorney and the money that we pay that person in that position. So I plan on voting in support, and I commend you very much. Commissioner Fay.
Putting my 2-minute marker on here because we'll probably need it for everybody. All right, good. So I think I just want to acknowledge that in a healthy democracy, we are all allowed to have different opinions. That's part of what makes a healthy democracy work. And I think that today more than ever, it's important that we have good, open dialogues and we recognize our differences. When I ran for ANC, I ran because I wanted to make sure that the people I represented had their voices heard. And in DC, that is a uniquely, I think, challenging thing to do. I am proud to fight fights that I might not win. I am proud to make some noise when I think it's going to make a difference. And I am proud to start small and to get others on board as we move forward. So I think that Commissioner Barrio has done a very good job of writing this in such a way that we are not drawing any red lines, that we are not taking anyone to task, that we are not confronting anyone. We are simply saying that there needs to be a process established whereby an individual is heard, and that those that we have elected into office have an opportunity to hear that. I am 100% in support of this, and you will have my vote.
Commissioner Barrio, did you want to?
I think you all both captured what I was going to say, so thank you for that.
Okay. Were there further comments, points of debate? Community views?
I just want to make sure I'm clear that I'm abstaining entirely from this discussion, as well as for voting. I'm not sure the formal way to do that.
You've done it.
Perfect.
So noted, and we'll note the abstention in the vote count too. Anything further? Commissioner Harris.
I just want to make clear again, like I stated, I am not in support personally, in my personal capacity, of acting U.S. Attorney Ed Martin. However, I wish there was something, again, more local in the resolution. There's nothing outside of talking about overall numbers for crime that could have been narrowed in for ANC 1B. I'm very aware of how the process works again, and how his confirmation hearing, whatever it is, whatever point we get to, how it affects my constituents. However, we have one huge thing that is looming over us, a huge budget cut that I would have much rather seen in the resolution, or a resolution talking about that. And maybe that's something that I could write, but that has a direct impact on MPD, on school officials, on everything that we would have a much better say and bigger say on over than this. So I would have rather had focus on that than having focus on something that is so small that is likely going to just be pushed completely aside because we are, even though we are elected, we have no legislative power. So that's it. I'm still voting against that.
There's a motion to call the question. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor of closing debate and entering voting procedures, aye. Aye, all opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We're moving to voting procedure on the resolution calling for a congressional hearing for the confirmation of Ed Martin. All those in favor of the resolution, please raise your hands. 3, 4, 5 in favor. All opposed, please raise your hands. 1 opposed. All those wishing to mark an abstention. 1 abstention. Thank you very much. The motion carries and the resolution is adopted. Thank you. Thank you. Well-timed orchestra there. All right. Next on the agenda, we sort of have a placeholder here. It's again the alcoholic beverage and cannabis regulations committee, ABCR, was not able to achieve a quorum at its meeting last month. So they did an informal review of multiple applications, and most of them were non-controversial, and that the chair, Commissioner Hanrahan, did not receive any significant negative comments about them, about the bulk of them, and those we approved in the consent agenda. He did flag these two, the application from Alero and the application from Howard Theater, because there had been comments received about them. He alluded to them earlier. So they're on the agenda here in case commissioners want to take them up and act in lieu of the committee, since it didn't have quorum. Did you, I don't know, Frank, if you had something for right now?
Yes, well, I just, it's a protocol question.
Sure.
I guess I'm just a little bit behind in your preview review with all the committees and whether I should have chimed in on each of the purview presented by the chairman, because I have an issue on public safety and I'd like to present it for public safety. So it seems like we didn't have open forum for that venue. Do I have an open forum for public safety?
Let us handle this and then we can come back around. Is that okay?
That's fine, but just a protocol question.
Sure.
Are each of these reports now in this agenda item a time for questions on that committee? Or should I have asked in the preceding section for the reports?
I do like to call for questions at the end of each committee report. I think I only did it for 1 of them or 2 of them today. So I'll make a more concerted effort to end each one with a call for questions. The announcements also is of course an open time when you don't have to just make an announcement ending in a period. You can also ask a question. You're certainly welcome to. Point noted. Thank you very much. So the 2 pending the 2 placeholder motions here would be on Alero and Howard Theater. So again, we're sort of acting in the place of the ABCR committee. So in fact, I think I just have to handle this a bit more formally. Let's do one at a time. Is there a motion related to the application from Alero Restaurant and Lounge, which is a Class C?
Yes.
It's a renewal. The protest date is May 5th, which is why we're considering it now. Do I hear a motion?
Yes, I move that the ANC protest Alero Restaurant and Lounge on peace, order, and quiet and all applicable grounds.
Do I hear a second to the motion?
Second.
The motion seconded. Debate is open. Commissioner Harris, would you like to explain the reasoning for your protest?
I already explained it, but there have been numerous complaints about noise from my neighbors and then neighbors that live right next door to Alero on their entertainment, and then also it's pushing at the live band that sometimes they have outside singing happy birthday. I know that sounds terrible, but it is true. Those are that's the main concern with Alero is certainly the noise.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there an existing settlement agreement?
Yes.
So I guess if there's an existing settlement agreement, what is the purpose of the protest? Is it to get a more like a stronger settlement agreement, or can you just walk me through that?
It would be to amend the settlement agreement to negotiate that. There's not apparent details, but it would be absolutely to amend the current one. And the one that was done, I believe, was done maybe 5 years ago.
Are there specific things in the settlement agreement that aren't there that you wish
Yes,
that were there?
I just mentioned that about the
I mean,
noise.
can you elaborate on that?
So I live in the building above Alero. There's certain noise issues in terms of the live entertainment. So there's probably issues in terms of the hours. And then there's also issues. They are not supposed to play music on the patio. However, anytime, and I realize this sounds ridiculous, but I've had several complaints about this. So anytime there is someone's birthday, they come out with a 4-person band to sing happy birthday at oftentimes 12 to 1 a.m. and that is not encompassed, even though they're not allowed to have music.
Okay, thanks.
Further comments, questions, points of debate?
Yeah, I don't recall looking at the settlement agreement for Alero, but
I've looked at it.
Okay, I trust in good faith that Commissioner for.
I mean, I'm happy to pull up my emails, but I've looked at it extensively.
There's a community.
I think just like a general comment from me, real quick, is that I have a hard time protesting renewals. I kind of maintained this rule in my previous ANC ship and currently, just basically as a general rule, I am uncomfortable protesting renewal applications unless something extremely egregious has happened. And especially if there's an existing settlement agreement and just trying to work to enforce the existing situation.
We can't ever work to enforce the agreements, but we can strengthen the agreements. And as someone who lives in the building, there have been rumors with the building management of removing Alero because there have been so many concerns and residents moving out of the specific units that are above Alero. I represent an area that has a ton of establishments, and one of the only ways for the ANC to have accountability on both sides to update a settlement agreement is during the renewal process.
Commissioner Hanrahan, you did, I know the committee looks at infraction history, case history. Did you guys, what was the conversation like about Alero at the informal committee meeting?
Yeah, the informal committee, nothing specific to Alero. Prior to the meeting, I FOIA'd, my first FOIA, very fun, of Alero. And unfortunately, I guess in my FOIA attempt, I did not specify that I also would like the dates of the noise complaints. So what was sent to me, and I'm happy to share it with everyone, is just a list of various complaints with no date. So I have no context for when these were sent over the course of the last 10 years or a year or 6 months or something like that.
Okay.
But that's what I was able to find.
And those were noise complaints, peace and.
Yeah, those are noise complaints.
Right. Frank Chauvin.
Yes, I would say thank you, Commissioner Harris, for raising an issue that's been an issue all up and down the corridor for a decade or more, sound, noise, and I appreciate you taking some responsibility on this in your building. I hope that all of you understand that this is an ongoing issue. We have 14th and U noise issues going on for 2 years. I have 9th Street with row houses right behind it on 9.5 Street that have nightly shaking. All right. We haven't done enough. I appreciate all of your efforts in continuing this dialogue throughout the corridor, not just for a mixed-use building, which has its own problems because of enforcement. It's very hard to enforce in mixed use because they don't have the same protections as a residential zone. But I appreciate it, and I ask for more help on this issue. My commissioner specifically, Commissioner Barrio, you've seen some emails on these issues, and I appreciate whatever you can do to commit to more effort from this commission, including lawyers, including conversations with the chair of the APCA, who takes no responsibility for public safety in this corridor. No responsibility. So I appreciate this. And so
Frank, are you referring to the chair of the board?
I'm
or
the
ANC?
ABCA board chair, Donovan
Okay. No,
Anderson. So my point is, thank you, and I hope for more, and I'm happy to serve as assistants because we need more of this discussion, and I appreciate you bringing this to the table for the settlement agreement.
I have one last comment, 10 seconds. I would strongly urge commissioners, I think it's important to pull up the complaint history. However, if you talk with any constituent, they likely do not, more than likely do not know of the avenue to file the complaint. Either they're going to you or they're going to the establishment themselves. So even though Commissioner Hanrahan pulled an infraction history, even though it wasn't time-based, that is not representative. I'm happy to share the emails that I have on Alero. I don't just protest. Most of the licenses that are coming through are either in my SMD or Commissioner Barrio's SMD, and I'm not raising to protest those. So I would note that if I am raising a protest, it is from repeated concerns that have been brought to my attention.
Well done. An effort doesn't delight. All right, anything? Okay, all those in favor of protesting the renewal application from Alero, please raise your hands. Count 3, 4, 5, 6 in favor, all opposed. One opposed, no abstentions. The motion carries. Thank you very much. The next placeholder from the ABCR committee relates to Howard Theater. Do I hear any motions related to the application from Howard Theater? Seeing none, we have no position on the matter. Thank you very much. Yep, sure. Oh, that's right. Goodness. If it's not written down, I don't know it exists. There's a motion on the floor from?
I move that the ANC sponsor $500 of allowable expenses for the 13th Street Block Party on May 17th.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any wishing to speak? Questions, comments? Go ahead.
So I remember I've only filled out the application once last year for our block party, and the rules essentially said that you could have $150 if you were going to have 150 people. You could have $200 if you had 200 people. So can you just connect the dots between
Yes.
what's been proposed and the $500 amount that's being proposed?
So, so this gets somewhat complicated, and so appreciate help from anyone else. There's a process where ANCs can give grants, and if one gives a grant, that there's a lot of regulations around what a grant is. It has to go through a certain process, there's a certain application, it's reviewed by a lot of people. There's a lot of regulations around giving grants. ANCs are also able to give direct expenditures, often called sponsorships. And those direct expenditures have there's still regulations around that. You can't just, spend it on whatever you want, but there's much less formal strictures around how that money is spent. Again, you can't spend it on consumable food. You can't spend it on things that the district government or any other government would otherwise provide. There are regulations, but you don't have the same sort of formal structures. And so this, as a sponsorship, we're able to direct $500 for allowable expenses. And it doesn't have any gating around number of participants or sort of, formulas around that.
Got it. And just a quick question to the committee or the sponsor. About how many people are you expecting, and what do you anticipate is your total budget for the block party?
Sure. I would say our total budget is somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000. Last year in October, our block party probably attracted around 750 people throughout the day. So I'm expecting with wider outreach, we'll probably get to 1,500.
That's great. Okay.
And so we talked about, I ducked over and I said, how's 500? And they're like, how's 1,500? And so we're going to keep it We're going to keep it 500 for now, but with a invitation that for future events, and this is true for across the ANC, where we have community members that are gathering, that are bringing together sort of members of the community, we'd love to participate in getting the word out. We'd love to potentially participate in funding as appropriate, and so we just need a little bit of advance notice so that we can make sure we've got the approvals in advance and we know the dollar figures and so forth. So, but love the idea of bringing the community together, and love to support it.
Can I propose maybe a friendly amendment to which is just that, sorry, you said the sponsorship of maximum of $500. I can't remember if you said kind of consistent with whatever our policies are.
Yeah,
and
we
that
say
will be-
allowable expenses.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Yeah.
And then you'll communicate what allowable is to the group so that
Yeah,
they're not
exactly.
getting in trouble.
Exactly.
Great.
And Karen will email you this text so that it goes in the minutes as written.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? I'll just say I'm incredibly happy that you came today. Thank you very much. Thank you for asking. Next time, ask earlier, please. It'll save us a little bit of grief, but thank you guys for thank you for putting your heads together on that very quickly. We haven't been sponsoring as many public events as we would like. So I'm grateful that we're able to do this. Tell everyone you know, the ANC has money for parties like this. We want to improve the quality of life, get neighbors to meet neighbors, expand the reach of organizations that are based in or operate in our commission area. So we are open for business. Without any further ado, all those in favor of the motion as stated previously, please raise your hands. 7 hands. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Anything else? Any final motions on the floor? Comments? Sir, public safety.
Yes, public safety. I understand we all live in a central core that is challenging. It's been challenging more so since COVID. Some of you live on the perimeter, don't feel it like people that live within a block or two or on the corridor. And we're all in this together. And in that vein, there's an issue regarding public safety on 2 important matters that I asked this commission for help, public safety specifically, but I'm wondering who does it. We have the CAC, 3D CAC. We have the commission public safety. We used to have USNA, U Street Neighborhood Association public safety, but who is putting together? I saw a report from PSA 3D. What was the report you gave tonight, Commissioner, on the stats?
That was for 1B.
1B. Well, my question is, there's a certain 1 or 2 commission areas, 1B02 and 1B08 that have the most crime. And it's 02 that has more crime than anywhere and has for 5 years and more. And it's one of the hottest dots all over the district. And I think it's fair to find out who of all of these organizations. I'd like to see from folks here, maybe some staff commitment to reporting on each of the PSAs. PSA 303, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's about 7 PSAs within the ANC 1B, but it'd be good to have information so that we can really know what's going on, because just like anytime someone wants to give me a report that crime is down in the district, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what's going on in this area. I want to know that we're staffed with MPD. I want to know what the stats are, especially in my neighborhood, 305, this epicenter of most of the crime. And I was wondering if we might get some help from you and the commission on that report longitudinally going forward.
Yeah, I just quickly, I think that's a good point. DC crime cards, you can dig into the PSAs. I know you've used them before. So that data is always there. I generally give a readout on ANC 1B just for the full meeting, but I do think it's a good point. So definitely during the committee meetings, I think we can dig a little deeper into the data. And if there's specific data that you can't find, please let me know, because we can definitely pass a resolution calling for MPD to provide better data on that, because I do think that is one of the things we can do as ANC, is advise and say, look, we really need this data. The community wants this. Other actors want this because it's important for figuring out how to address public safety and where the hotspots are. So, if there are additional asks that you have from MPD about crime, then please let me know, because we can definitely work on that.
Yeah, I would second that. And we're here. We're all in on that mission. I did ask Commissioner Barrio when he took over to start doing these monthly crime reports, which is actually something required by our SOPs in this commission. And last year we went a very long time without monthly statistical updates. So thank you very much for resuming that practice. And if we need to tinker the way that's done, I'm sure there's a committee member who could sort of take that portfolio and do something, produce a different product if that's what we want. So we're here. also will commend Commissioner Barrio, Commissioner Fay, and others who've been on these multiple walks. I think in the past month, in the past 3 weeks, we did at least 3 walks, I believe. We did, all 3 of them involved MPD. At least one of them involved 3 of them involved DDOT. ABCA sent representatives. The deputy mayor for public safety and justice was herself present for one of the walks with a big team, CSOSA, everybody. So there's a lot of activity that we're participating in regarding public safety on the U Street corridor. It's built into all of our engagements with small business owners. It's built into the NMA and the bid discussions. So I think everyone's willing. Everyone's already quite active on this front. So we're here to take suggestions, and please join us for those community engagements. The walks with MPD in particular, I think, are fascinating to see the city through their eyes and to see what they're noticing over time. I think 7th and T is something that they're quite proud of in the past few months, how it's shaping up. Of course, it would be a deep tragedy if that support is scaled back because of budgetary concerns. But please join us for those engagements as much as you can, everybody. Anything else? Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
All right, is there a second? Any objections? I always ask for motion to adjourn. Yes, but I want to. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the pizza. Good night.